Thank you so much for logging on to 12news.com. Cameron Cox, Lina Washington, I think it's the final episode. I don't know why they'd shoot this show with no one in the building. What we saw on HBO's Hard Knocks, fantastic ending, tough ending. Lina, that was kind of we knew what happened, but man, did that pull on some heartstrings, didn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely emotional. Probably the most emotional we've seen JJ Watt in his transition into retirement, which it sounds like has been part of the discussion within his family for some time. So,
Yep.
It was emotional to see him watching the video that was played in the hotel the night before the game, to see him interacting with his son Koa and Kalia, who is an athlete herself, so she knows how difficult this decision has been for him to come to, and
Yep.
how much it's going to mean for their family moving forward. I mean, she said that they've never been on a vacation together where one of, if not both of them, are training for hours at a time. So that's just the life of a pro athlete. And JJ is going to have to figure out what he's going to do with his August, since that's training camp time. And it probably won't hit him until August 2023, really. But I thought Hard Knocks did a tremendous job honoring his career, showing his impact on the field, in the organization, within the NFL, with the respect that was shown on behalf of the 49ers from John Lynch and down. And I feel like that obviously was the bulk of this episode, in addition to what became breaking news the next day. So this was just a real ride of an episode, much like this season at large for the Cardinals. A ride, emotional, unpredictable, and ultimately one that these guys don't want to revisit or relive, because it was a challenge.
Yeah, many of them won't relive it. This roster is going to look vastly different next year. I think we can all agree on that. The JJ stuff, it was really cool to see some things that we didn't get to see. We all got to see the moment of him coming off the field at the game. You got to see him interact with his family before the game, the stuff afterwards in the hallway, in the locker room. I wish they would have showed some of his post-game clips, because I thought he had a lot of good things to say. It was just cool to see some of those extra things with his family, and you could just tell he's in so much peace, and that's really hard for a lot of pro athletes to do. I can't remember where I saw this today, but pro athletes sometimes they die twice, and the first one is when they quit playing their professional sport, because it's such a drastic change in their life. And you brought up Kalia and JJ on vacation. They're pretty famous for when they go places, they have some type of Instagram post of them working out, usually in the off season. And it's just cool that they're going to get to now be a normal human and do normal things and watch his son grow up. I loved seeing his son on the field as a little preview of what's to come. And he gets to have all those moments. And, Kalia, hopefully she gets back on the soccer field. I think that would be pretty cool to see. Now JJ taking the son on an airplane to go watch mom play, I think would be neat, because as most moms know, it's tough to get we're in the airport all the time, Lena. It's tough to go, see parents with all these kids in the airport, right? So, I mean, JJ's probably going to have to do some of that on his own from time to time. So I thought a lot of that was neat to see. His family, I got a chance to talk to his mom on the sidelines right after that moment where they took a picture together, and she was just in tears. It was cool because right behind her were pictures of like, thank you, JJ, thank you, JJ, thank you, and mom, dad, baby. It was just neat, and I'm sure that's pretty cool for any parent to see. And Michael's speech at the end to JJ was fairly good, and it'll be Lena, I don't know what he does next. WWE.
I mean, he obviously wants to be the next Gatorade spokesperson. It's in him. Is it in JJ? Absolutely, it is. So
we gotta start doing that, like
how many brands show, right? He signs on with. He's going to be like the next chef. He's going to be on every commercial. He's going to be on every desk calling games he's going to be hosting SNL for all we know, which obviously is going to be on 12 News, only on 12 News in Phoenix. But, and I also couldn't help but just think of how special this moment and this series is going to be for Koa to look back on, and for his family to have. I mean, just the reaction of them in the suite, watching the reaction of, having him mic'd up, and that's just so special for their family to have and to remember. Yeah. But you mentioned Michael Bidwill in the locker room post game, obviously honoring JJ, but you could hear it in his voice. He had it. And, it was another one of those tense moments. And for everything, that was said about Cliff before the change happened, before, this season, it turned out to be the way it was. He is who he is 100% of the time. From what we've heard from players, from what we've seen on Hard Knocks, he's even keel. He is the same guy, win or lose, and like it or not, to a fault, that might be how he is, but that's what you're going to get. And, it seemed like this was a uniquely challenging year for him professionally. And we saw that, but I thought that they did a good job kind of teasing that at the beginning of the episode and then tying it all together at the very end. And obviously the writing was fantastic to say, only one team gets to see the confetti and all other 31 teams are leaving with trash bags and, what thoughts of what could have been essentially. So I thought that was a good way to tie it all together.
Yeah. Cliff sitting at his house clearly before he was getting fired. You got this, one real quick before Cliff said something earlier in the year that I thought was really profound of him. And it kind of let you know where he was at in life. And it's why that I don't think anything down the stretch really fazed him. It's why I don't think he changed as a human, as a coach. He is a player's coach. They played hard for him till the end. They respected him till the end. What he's not going to do is put a foot up somebody's. What he's not going to do is be that guy to crack the whip and to really hold guys extremely, extremely accountable. I believe he even said in a Hard Knocks episode to the team in a meeting, like, you guys want to find accountability, you find it yourselves. Like, that's who he is as a coach. And that only sometimes goes so far. It did not do well this season in Arizona as far as holding guys accountable, because it looks like, for the most part, players-wise, nobody did. But Cliff said something earlier in the year where he said he was at peace with himself. That's a hard thing for a football coach to admit, because you're constant in fear of losing your job. BA once told me, if you're going to be a football coach, build your house on wheels. It's a very accurate statement if you look at coaches' bios. They go everywhere. Mm-hmm. And when Cliff said that, it just kind of showed you his mindset, his makeup. Like, he knows who he is. He knows he's a good coach. He knows what he does. He probably knows his faults too as well, and what he needs to get better at and what he's not good at too as well. And you just saw Cliff Kingsbury when he was sitting at his house, Lena, like that, just kind of at peace, that he knows he worked as hard as he could, and it just didn't work out. And Lena, sometimes it is good less for sometimes that it happens that way, right?
Sure. And it's worth noting that Michael Bidwell, he didn't have to say this in front of cameras, but he said that he has been in this organization for his entire life, and he's never seen a coach work harder and put in the hours like Cliff Kingsbury, and he's just disappointed. Absolutely. And he didn't have to say that at all. But he did. And he said, I'm disappointed that it couldn't have ended better for him. And obviously, it's a tough decision to make. He said that was the toughest day, of his professional career every year, to make those decisions. But especially when you have a guy like Steve Keim stepping down and stepping away for health related reasons after almost a quarter century with this team, right? It's a changing of the guard. And I will say, obviously, we knew what happened. We know what's going on. But in terms of a television series, this delivered in the season finale in terms of drama and cliffhangers and storylines and what could come next season, the spinoffs, Kugler the cat showing up for the season finale as well. And I will say they ended on that long shot. Yeah, he's here for drama. He watched along with me. He said, wait a minute, Mom, that shot of JJ and Hop hugging in the parking lot held for a long time. And we did get to see Hop and hear Hop talk a little bit about how, in not so, PG terms, how bad of a season it was, and how, he set his team up for failure at a disadvantage with the PED suspension at the beginning of the year. And he recognized that. He takes accountability for that. But he also posted on his Instagram today, forever grateful. So here we go with the ominous social media messages with star players from the Cardinals organization, just like around this time last year with one Kyler Murray. So yeah, man, it's like it's a season that has ended on Hard Knocks and HBO, but the drama will continue.
Yeah, the Hop and JJ hug, those two, as you know, they can just go back. And
Sure.
Hop kind of recruited JJ in a way to come here. I don't know how much he voiced him that, but there were those posts leading up to the JJ signing to get him to come here and played in Houston together here. The hug seemed kind of fitting. The D-Hop thing, while he admits that too as well, I will say it's just interesting because Hop did a lot of talking about the future this year, Lena, and we've all seen the reports now, if you haven't, that it looks like the Cardinals are going to try and trade him in the offseason. That doesn't seem like a real surprise to me based on that he's going to be 31. He's missed so much time here in Arizona after rarely missing games the first 8 years of his career, owed a bunch of money, massive cap hit next year. Even if they trade him, it's still going to be a big cap hit next year, but at least that opens him up for the following year, which truthfully, that's what I think they're playing for. There's just so much unknown next year. You got to rebuild that O-line, D-line, new coach. Kyler, who knows how much he's going to play. If they win next year, that's a bonus. That's like getting an extra piece of cake or something. Let's do that. Let's look at it that way. You're playing for the following year when that big Hop contract comes off the books. So that's why, at least I hate getting rid of good football players. We talk about that all the time. So I think that's why I think it makes sense to trade it. But Hop did a lot of talking about the future with Kyler Murray this year. And so that's why if he's asking to be traded, which we don't know yet, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already done it. It looks like he's hinted at it. It's just it contradicts to what he told us all year, is that he talked to Kyler Murray about the future, about winning here, about turning this thing around. And it would be a very similar exit to how he did at Houston at the end, to things that I heard come out of Houston, if it's now he wants out after the going got tough. I don't blame him because I'm sure he wants to win at his age, but it would just be different than what he has told us. And for example, we talked about this earlier. We saw after Mexico City game, Murray, Sean Jefferson had a meeting outside the locker room, asked Murray point blank what that was about. He said it was the future. Talking with Kyler Murray about what he saw playing the Niners, about what they can do moving forward, done a lot of talking about that. And while I get it, he's owed a lot of money, probably doesn't want to restructure it, but you had to know going into next year that cap number wasn't going to fly, that you would had to do something to help out the team. And that meant being a part of the future, doing all those things. If you don't, then you've changed course a little bit, which is okay in itself too. It's just different than what he's told us all year.
How about Michael Bidwell also hinting maybe to other players within the locker room, hinting at retirement, which we might understand to be one AJ Green, which was kind of loosely mentioned in this episode, but we talked to him in the locker room and he said, I'm going out the right way. I'm going out, I played the game right. I feel good. And then we see the whole, the dramatic lead up from week 11, Cliff trying to work this play with Kyler and healthy quarterbacks in the room, this Joe Montana play.
Interesting how they worded it.
We see that AJ Green is watching Blau, at least in the edit, watching Blau play out. And he's saying, okay, this kid's smart. He might have a job in the league. And then when you know it, first play from scrimmage, Joe Montana, AJ Green trucking dudes to the end zone. And that was probably the most excitement on offense that we felt. It was the biggest play of the season for the Cardinals. It was the biggest play, deepest play.
It caught me by surprise. I didn't think that was coming.
But I thought that was a very interesting lead up, how they showed Cliff in week 11 going over the film, and they've worked on it. And now this guy, with one full week of practice, really gets to execute it with a receiver who has hinted at retiring. And then we hear Kelvin Beachum on the bench saying, now you got to come back. You got to come back.
Yeah, AJ in the locker room last week said he wasn't sure. He's going to check with his family. Sounds like it's going to be up to his kids in a way. He doesn't want to move them again school-wise. So, while they live in Georgia, technically, if it was to come back and play, it only would be here. Those were his words. So, because he doesn't want to move his kids to another school or anything like that. And He said he sounded very at peace with it. He knew what he gave to this game. Said he wouldn't miss all the running. And I go, receiver who doesn't like to run? He goes, man, I ran a lot of miles on these legs. I go, I get it, man. I get it.
Well, he emptied the tank in week 18 sure. at Levi's Stadium.
Yep. Another, sure. Lena, you mentioned other retirements. Rodney Hudson, been out since week 4, some type of leg injury. He hinted at retirement in the offseason. I've heard from
so did Justin Pugh. He had admitted that he contemplated retirement also.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Justin Pugh's, I think, another one of those guys that would only come back here. He's got some other things going kind of outside of football, and I think it'd only be here too as well. Rodney, if he can just get healthy, but I think once you start, teetering that fence a little bit, Lena, I just think it's hard to go back straight just on the football side. But I will say this, Rodney's as tough as they come. A lot of people question that. Like, this dude's been limping. You've seen it all year long, Lena. And that Carolina game, they had to pull him off the field because he didn't want to come off. But, man, he was banged up. I'm not sure exactly what his leg injury was, but whatever it was, it caused him to limp to every road trip the rest of the season. And I can't tell you this, not every injured player went to every road trip.
That's right.
The rest of the season. Andy Lee told us last week he'd like to come back and play 20 years, so one more season.
Nice whole number, nice round number.
Yeah, he said 20 sounds better than 19. So that's his reason. AJ Green, Justin Pugh.
Matt Prater was asked. I mean, it sounds like he
can still kick it.
He's good enough, obviously. He's hit from 50-plus several times.
Yeah, I talked to Matt Prater on the sidelines. He sounds like he wants to come back and kick too as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all those change. I didn't know if they were going to show this or not. They showed it briefly, and it's kind of like most of Cliff's speeches, his interaction with the coaches when they got fired. You don't usually see a lot of those things.
I did like that.
I thought that was a nice touch just to show. It showed a couple of things. One, it showed you that insight that normally you don't get to see. And 2, to what we talked about earlier, Cliff never changed. That's who he is.
Absolutely.
On the way out, on the way in, every meeting didn't change.
And you know what? With all that said, I do hope he gets to have one full night's rest. I hope that he doesn't set his alarm to wake up for like 2 or 3 days. Just ease into it. I'm sure he'll land on his feet. He's obviously a very talented coach, a highly regarded football mind. It didn't work out here for reasons beyond his control in some ways, but there will be a job for him in the NFL or within football should he choose to pursue that. But I do hope that he's able to get a full night's rest and not have to check in or clock into the office at 3:30 in the morning by his own volition.
It's just, Lena, that one time we saw him, he was driving on the streets at like
3:12. I will never forget the timestamp.
There's barely any people up, lights on at 3:12 in the morning.
That's everyone coming home from serving, in Scottsdale or downtown. All the bar workers. I know because I used to be one of those people, having to close up late and all of that stuff. But it was definitely an eventful week in here in the Valley, and it's only going to get more eventful as we continue to follow the search for the next general manager, the search for a new coach. The Cardinals have been given permission to interview Sean Payton, which they can start doing virtually until next Tuesday when they can start in-person interviews. So the ball is rolling, the carousel is spinning, and it's going to be a new era here in the Valley in a couple, who knows, days, hours, weeks, months.
Lena, you want to give any predictions onto who you think the next coach and GM will be? I did not think Sean Payton was a possibility, and I for a couple of reasons. Money. I just didn't think. Sean has mentioned a few times he wants to go to it seems like a well put together organization with a good ownership. And not that Michael's not a good owner, but he has a reputation around the NFL. It can be kind of difficult to work with from time to time. That's no surprise to many people. People have heard that. And so, but I will say this, the fact that, they're trying, I think is more than I thought they would do. I thought Vance maybe had the front line to this. That was just something that my gut told me. But the fact that Michael admitted that he needed to change something, which I thought was a big thing in his own way, in an owner way to do, admitted that he believed in these guys, but he recognized that there needed to be a change. I think was a massive step because I think we all recognize that. So for him to do that, I think says one thing. And for him to start going outside and interviewing to just see if he can get Sean Payton's time, maybe.
Yes, and I if nothing else, I feel like the show of effort from, we hear from fans all the time, Cam. I mean, they text us in our show, we run into them on the street, we see them in our mentions, and if the Cardinals just totally ignored that, because it sounds like Sean Payton might be dropping some breadcrumbs, or I mean, hey, who doesn't want to come work in Arizona? We're wearing shorts in January, okay? So, I feel like just putting forth the effort is going to restore faith, trust in the fan base. And I don't really have a prediction. I'll say whoever comes in will win more than 4 games next season. That'll be my prediction. It's not the bar is pretty much on the floor at this point.
The bar is low.
What about you, Cam? You got any predictions? Is it going to be an in-house hire, you think, on either side?
Man, for all year, I didn't think they were going to fire Cliff. That was just a gut thing, just how Michael's done it in the past. So now, like, my mind is all crazy. And even as the season went on, it just got so bad. How it ended, and you just, you knew it needed to happen. You didn't think it was going to happen. It did happen. To me, if you can't get a guy like Sean Payton, and I think you need to kick those tires until it goes flat. Like, I think you really need to go all in. That would energize the fan base. If Michael has the pulse, like maybe he might have after admitting that this thing needed a change, like that would do it. That Sean Payton would do it, I think, a lot for Kyler Murray. He would teach him stuff as a quarterback position, make him do things that he's never done before. 2 needs to do. 2, he would get him a running game that would trick some people up under center and not just put him back there in the shotgun all day. It would be a very Chiefs, Bills, what Jalen Hurts is doing. It would fit an NFL mold, and you would, I think, really finally see that creativity that Cliff's offense was missing in a way. If you can't do Sean Payton, I think Vance Joseph is a good hire. 1, he's under contract. If he got a contract extension, let's not spend all the money.
Absolutely.
See what happens. I think Vance Joseph would be a great hire. Vance talked a lot about culture these last couple of weeks. Very interesting. He mentioned that word because that theme was the word that Michael Bidwell used a lot the other day. I think Vance would be a good hire. I also think Adrian Wilson would be a good hire too as well. I think he would help hold Kyler accountable, which I think is a big thing moving forward. But I'm okay with them going to get another voice because sometimes you just have to go outside the organization. It is what it is. Adrian Wilson might be a good candidate, but sometimes you just got to go outside to bring someone else in to move forward. Sometimes that's how business works.
Yeah, I agree with you on the candidates of VJ and Adrian and Quentin Harris as well. I find that in-house hires and promotions obviously instill and enforce that culture, whatever it is, wherever you work, wherever, that may be, whatever level. But yes, it's going to be, I was shocked that Michael, and I said, I would think the decision was going to be based on how much money Michael was willing to eat. And he admitted as much in the press conference that he held, that he understands it's a lot of money and he understands that he has to absorb it, and they will do that. Whatever it takes to get back to a winning culture, he's willing to spend that money. And like he said, Cam, you don't have to worry about it.
That was the best. Money, right? I was sweating. I didn't know how much is Cliff? 28, 28 million, something like that. So I'm glad to know that we're not on the hook for that company credit card bill. So that's a good thing. Thing.
Yeah.
Well, on to the off season. That's it.
Yeah, nine episodes. Shout out to the entire production crew of Hard Knocks. As a fan of the series for a long time, it was so cool to actually see kind of from start to finish what a whole week of production would kind of look like in real time, to be a part of it, to have our voices featured, our presence on local news out here featured. Was really cool. And I can only imagine how much work these people put in to make this so entertaining for us. So if anyone from the production team is watching, congratulations. Hope you guys get to enjoy a little bit of an off season yourself and not have to look at a screen, especially after a disappointing season. Some really bad football had to be watched over and over and over and over again. But it was a great 9 episodes, I think, of in season. Round 2.